Landfill Indie Debate starts here.
It does indeed. The Landfill Indie Debate starts here. So let's start off with what is Landfill Indie? Now, for old folks like me, I only just realized that this was a long time ago. This is over a decade ago. This is sort of mid-2000s music in the UK. Rock bands, indie rock bands. I believe that this was coined in an article, Landfill Indie, and it kind of lumped a lot of people in together. I guess that we had that with Britpop as well, emo, and I'd like to think that taste change, your taste, personal taste change. You can listen to something and love it 15 years ago and maybe listen back to it and think, I've moved on a bit from that. It's not really my kind of thing now. I think that's okay. Totally. I think there are some things where all that was rubbish. It's never going to be the case. I think to kind of pick and choose and hold on to some of the good things and let go of some of the bad things is totally fine. I think sometimes if you're wandering around the streets in your 40s, dressed like Noel Gallagher, then possibly you've not maybe opened yourself up to some new music in the last 20 years or so. Like I, as a teenager, for example, massive Oasis fan, bought all their CDs and tapes, and I was really into them for a good while there. However, I've no interest in going watching them in their reformation. I've got no interest in listening to them talk or listening to them play music. There is still one or two of their songs which I think are fantastic, and then there's a lot that are not. I kind of moved on, and I think that's okay too. But if they're like your band and you stick with them through thick and thin and know the music, there's definitely people I know when I was a kid or a teenager who got into Oasis who they didn't realize that there was any other music available. So maybe this is interesting. Like if the Landfill Indie might be quite an offensive term to some of those bands who put their heart and soul into what they did. So I'm going to try and just give my opinion on ones that are really good that you could check out. I'm going to try and go through maybe 50 to 100. There's top 50 that Vice did a few years ago, and I'm going to give a few other bands, few other tracks. There might be a band where I just like one of their songs. And also, I guess music connects you to the time. A lot of guessing going on. To connect you to a time when a time and a memory. So there's like a nice feeling towards it, which you can't just give to someone else. So it's totally subjective. Art is, obviously. So we're going to talk, art brut is as well. We're going to talk about the often criticized wave of mid-2000s indie rock bands that flooded the UK charts, seen as overplayed, formulaic, or just kind of in the middle. That sea of shame, sameness, and there's some gems there, there's some stinkers there, and what would make this overexposed? I guess being overexposed would be the landfill side of it, or maybe that you can just imagine some people going, we need 10 more bands like that in some office somewhere. So we're going to go through them. I probably won't play that much or any of them unless I play a bit of copyright roulette with YouTube. Obviously, this is all fair use and descriptive. That doesn't usually help. But anyway, so we're going to go through some of the bands and most well-known ones that I've kind of collected from different places. Some of these you might disagree are not Landfill Indie. Like, for example, the Arctic Monkeys, people who carried on and had big careers. I'd argue that they were probably maybe the second, third album might be something where they hit a peak and they were really, really good. And then they've kind of, I feel like, recently disappeared up their own backsides a bit, and the music isn't hardly listenable. But yeah, so here's one, like best, worst Landfill. I'm going to throw some bands at you and see what you think. Kaiser Chiefs, I Predict a Riot, very, very popular song, popular band. They epitomized that shouty period of time. I never felt like they were I don't know, I was going to say like proper band. Like I wasn't like a fan of the Kaiser Chiefs, but there was like one or two songs I heard I quite like. I Predict the Right was everywhere as a song, and it was seen as relatively. I would go off like, because I used to read Q magazine as well, so I'd go off like they were seen as like credible. I think I read NME for a long time as well, but this was kind of where I was tapping out with music magazines, and I think a lot of other people were too. Arctic Monkeys around this time, from I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. They were definitely lumped in with this at the time, so their early stuff. I think there's a bit of Cooper Clarkness to them and archness to Alex Turner's writing and quality of the music that makes them a cut above. There's a poetry to some of the stuff that they did in the first few albums. Probably still now there's the poetry there, but now it's the kind of more, like I said, there's a little bit of a, I don't know if it's self-congratulatory or self-hating or we're better than this kind of feel I get from them. They don't want to play You Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor, probably. The Wombats, I can't remember anything by the Wombats, but people mention them a lot when they say about Landfill Indie. Maybe I'll play a clip. The Kooks, I thought the Kooks were pretty good at the time. That first album they did was very popular. You remember the song Naive? The Kooks were okay. I listened to them quite a lot. I thought they were all right. I was never under any pretensions that they were like some amazing, band that were going to change the world. I just liked the way their music sounded. They were fun. There was a kind of energy to it, and sometimes you need that. Like, oh, hang on, I'm just going to pause a sec. Give me 1 sec, because the dog made me jump. And as if by magic, I'm back. I brought Mr. Lion with me because Marty was barking for no reason, so I brought Mr. Lion with me to show. Keep her quiet. Hang on, I'm playing with Mr. Lion. She's been for a walk. She's had her food. She's just barking for no reason. Try and make me jump. Okay, where were we? The Kooks? I already finished the Kooks. Yeah, like, I still think some of those songs would be all right now. I'd listen to them. I haven't listened to them for a long time, but that doesn't mean I won't. Yeah, non-pretentious fun. I think they're probably retro now, I'd imagine. This kind of ties in with when the sort of tail end of me being at university as well, all of these things. So I had more time to listen to music. A lot of people, I think, latch on to the music that they had more time to listen to when they were younger, and then they never see anything else as hitting that standard. And it's possibly just repetition more than anything else. Wombats, we talked about. Kooks. Fratellis, I smashed that CD in my car driving up and down to university. Now makes you think of football. It makes you think of football and kind of Soccer AM and Paul Weller hairstyles and sprayway jackets and cagoules and stuff. It's not it's one of those, isn't it? It's not your finest moment, if that, But there were some good songs in the Fratellis. They weren't terrible. They were not terrible. We'll talk about more than them. Pigeon Detectives, again, the names of these, I think, do not help. Pigeon Detectives. Can you just imagine, what is a Pigeon Detective? Pretty forgettable. Pigeon Detectives, I think, had their album. The Enemy were trying to be all like, we're going to live and die in these working class towns. I was just like, yeah, I didn't believe it. You're like 12. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. Reverend of the Makers, I think, were just like a tag along to... and please feel free to tell me more about these bands. Were Reverend of the Makers. They were like a tag along to Arctic Monkeys, I think, but it felt a bit forced. Scouting for Girls. Okay, so I remember these guys. Every single song of theirs. It was like the same. They just had one little thing. It was very, very catchy to the point of we need to stop doing this. The Paddingtons, again, perfect indie name. I don't remember them. I don't even remember what they look like. I don't remember anything about their songs. I just remember the name. Saturation, same guitar-driven sound, predictability, similar chord use, shouty vocals, overplayed. I think of like Virgin and XFM and things like that. They're stuck to this formula. It wasn't all bad, though. It did produce anthems that probably people use at football matches still now, is that good or bad? So there's 100 songs I've got, but there's 50 on the Spotify playlist. So we're going to have a look through some of those. Pete and the Pirates is another one where it's like, oh yeah, remember the name, don't remember anything about any of the songs. Let's see, how do I? Why I've never used Spotify on my. There we go, on my computer before, so this might be a little bit. So let's see, Pete and the Pirates. Ready? Yeah, a lot of songs sounded like that. I did have tickets to see the Rifles, the next one in Carlisle. I don't know if we didn't end up not going in the end, but yeah. Let's listen to the Rifles. Okay. Don't remember much about them. Little Man Tate, I remember them. My friend who's from Sheffield kind of saying that they were similar to Arctic Monkeys. I don't think they were. Yeah, they didn't stick around. And the next one, the Guillemots. I remember the Guillemots because the lead singer's voice sounded a lot like the guy from Idlewild, had that sort of Scottish indie sound, which I wouldn't necessarily put in the Landfill indie. The only thing I will put in is a sort of not archness, a kind of like ooh, I'm so quirky and weird kind of thing going on with the Guillemots. But yeah, like if you want to listen to stuff that's better than the Guillemots and you like this way that guy's voice sounds, then listen to maybe some Idlewild and some definitely Frightened Rabbit. They were amazing. So yeah, but no, not the Guillemots. Let's see if I can just skip to a bit of this one. Hear his voice for a sec. Let's see if I can. How can I skip along? I can't find what time in the track we are. So no. But anyway, that was Annie Les Incompetents. I wonder if that's from Kevin McAllister's sister. You're the French girl, Les Incompetents. I wonder if that's how they got their name. No idea about the Les Incompetents, how it all went wrong. Could not tell you what they sound like. Don't know anything about them. Nothing going there for me. Same with Good Shoes. Photo on My Wall. Let's play a bit of Photo on My Wall. The Libertines have a lot to answer for. Cajun Dance Party. Oh my word. I read a bit about these, but again, I don't know anything about them. I read a bit about them in this article, but no, nothing. Jack Pignate, I think, was like kind of just one guy doing a kind of, I can picture him. But yeah, not much going on there. Let's see. I mean, yeah, I forgettable, instantly forgettable. I so much so that I forgot. Morning Runner, I think, is the song from the In-Betweeners. So let's lump the In-Betweeners in with Landfill Indie. Landfill Indie and In-Betweeners actually do go quite well together because I thought the In-Betweeners were amazing at the time. I watched every episode multiple times. Like, it's just so funny. Have watched some back and been like, it wasn't as funny as I remember. And some bits of it are funny and memorable and really well written, and some of it is just falls flat, really flat. So I guess that's a good little thing to compare Landfill Indie with as well. Let's see if we can recognize the beginning. Yeah. Here we were in Thingy Park, Rudge Park School. Simon got a new car. Fucking assholes. Yeah. Yeah. In between us. You know, if you've watched it, you'll know what I was talking about. And the Paddingtons, no. Knew the name. Pigeon Detectives, I did have their album. Can't remember much about it. Let's see if any of this brings me back to the. No, don't remember. Maxïmo Park, I remember because I was up in Carlisle for quite a long time, and they're kind of Newcastle way. They were very popular. Maxïmo Park was seen as like a more arty kind of indie band. But actually, there wasn't a lot of substance there, really. They were quite catchy. He had a very, very strong accented voice, which was pretty cool. But it wasn't as much fun as... I really like the Future Heads. I think I stuck with the Future Heads for a couple of albums. They did the... Hounds of Love, Kate Bush barbershop version, or punk barbershop version, I guess. Like this. There's no way I'm going to get through copyright doing this. So, I'm going to have to maybe what I'll do is I'll go through later on. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, I can't hear any of these songs, it's because there is an option on YouTube Studio where you can mute the song and keep the video up. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, I'll talk you through it anyway. You might know them anyway. Editors. I like the editors. The guy had a very Joy Division style, Curtis style voice. And actually some of those songs were pretty powerful, pretty good. I think The Back Room was a good album. Tailed off a bit after that. But yeah, I would still say that some of their stand-up, I would go and check out some of the editors' song. They are very much maligned. I think people put them, just say, oh, they were just, kind of style over substance. But if it's a good song, it's a good song. And I think there's some good songs in editors. The same with Futureheads. There's a couple of good Futurehead songs. So yeah, I would say that they stand the test of time. So far out of all of these, I'll say go and watch. I'll go and listen to some Kooks, a couple of Kooks songs. The Guillemots were okay. What else we got? Editors, Futureheads, Baby Shambles spin-off, one of the two spin-offs, I believe, from the Libertines. I wasn't a massive Libertines fan, but I got on board because I was like, they're actually pretty good songs. He's got an eye for a lyric, or an ear for a lyric, and P. Dotty, and they had a lot of good energy about them. Okay, so here's where I get a bit controversial. Razorlight, this album, Up All Night, the first one, the second one, self-titled, really, really good. You can re-listen to Razorlight's second album. Didn't do himself any favors with the way he sort of made himself seem like he was just, he could never live up to his own hype. But the new album, the latest album of 2024, Razorlight, is not that bad. They've got the band back together. They're all not that bad at all. Young Knives, She's Attracted To. Again, put them in with Fratellis, put them in with Pigeon Detectives. We'll probably forget all about them. Very forgettable. Stambols, the others. A lot of people would say this is your archetypal Landfill indie. Stambols, if you don't know, was like a sort of very, very skilled footballer for QPR, I believe. I've seen a few of his goals. Very, very talented footballer. But, socks rolled down, smoking a fag, drinking lots of beer kind of guy. So, like, obviously for this era, a little bit of a hero. And I guess that's why it would be the perfect title. And yeah, I don't know anything about the others. The Two Door Cinema Club, I remember being told by the enemy to really like them, and I just couldn't get into them. Never heard of Good Books. Bromhead's Jacket makes me feel like they were another Sheffield one for some reason, but I can't remember anything about them. I remember What's That Coming Over the Hill Is in a Monster. I think they were trying to push these guys, or the Automatic, to be kind of like an indie The Monkees kind of thing. But no, it didn't really take it. And another one that enemy were desperately trying to push down everyone's throat with Las Vegas. Very deep voice, very Scottish, very, very dour, just not very catchy. And they're just not, I'm sorry, but you want us to love these guys. And for me, totally forgettable. Same with Wombats. I remember the name, don't remember much about them. Jolene and the Jing Jang Jong. I remember those guys and just being like, ugh. What is this? Even then, I think you saw group things still go, yeah, I loved all of these at the time. Well, no, I didn't. I probably liked about 50% of them. I've always been quite, like I'll pick like very magpie with my music. So I wasn't part of a particular scene, even though it feels nice sometimes to feel like you're part of a scene, part of a group, and part of a way of dressing. And certainly that's part of your teens. I remember, going the sort of Oasis way, and because I was into football as well, and I knew them by proxy of other people and family members and bits and pieces. But I was like, actually, I wasn't really all in. And the same goes for this. Like, I'd go to the odd gigs. I think I went to see Futureheads. I think they were supporting Bloc Party. Hardfire, would they count? I don't know. Hardfire. I thought they were going to be like the new Clash. Milburn, I think, were another Sheffield Arctic Monkeys. Let's try and get another Arctic Monkeys band going. Send in the boy. Oh yeah, it's going to be dramatic, that one. The enemy will live and die in these towns. Yeah, I just remember them. I was just like, I'm not buying it, guys. I'm not buying this. Apply some pressure. Yeah, that's the Maxïmo part one I can think of. Mumra. Fancy naming a band Mumra. That's very much like places them and their age when they were making this song. Because like, I don't know, the first run anyway of Thundercats is kind of my generation. So these guys probably around my age when they released this. She's Got You High. Don't remember that. See You at the Lights by the Cookies. Never heard of them. Mystery Jets. Remember that. Two Doors Down. They were quite fun. Mystery Jets, kind of middle class, quirky lyrics kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's quite sad because there isn't really any bands now. Maybe that's why people are revisiting these and going, "Oh, what was this?" Because you don't really have the same kind of, outside of London type of appeal or bands that you have. Then you don't feel like that people have the opportunity. Maybe they do through YouTube or SoundCloud or different things like that. I mean, there's Sam Fender. People hold on to Sam Fender, but like, yeah, I don't know. He's done well for himself, but he's got something a bit special about him, I think, in a kind of Springsteen-y kind of way. He's able to take something that's very unique to him and important to him, but other people can connect to it in a stadium, which is really rare. So yeah, there's a couple of Sam Fender songs that are just brilliant. The Cribs, I remember them being like the kind of, they're really arty, you're going to really like them. Men's Needs, I remember that one. Let's just play the beginning of Two Doors Down, see if I remember that as well. No, but I remember it being a bit quirky. It was a bit offbeat. Oh, yeah, I remember the Cribs. I remember that. I must have had that. They were all right. They were okay. Valerie, why don't you come over? They were Scousers. I remember that one. Yeah. Again, like the Coral, the Zootons. When I can't think of other Scouse bands that are kind of had that chart success that they had. That's quite sad, really. Like in modern times, the Zootons. Yeah. The Kooks again, Sofa Song, that was a fun one. The Maccabees, I remember them being another kind of arty one that you were supposed to like. The Vaccines, I think, were more punky. Ordinary Boys, I didn't mind. Do you know what? Yes, he was. It was trying to do a bit of, I think, like a bit of ska, and a bit Larry ska. But again, I think they had a couple of songs where I was like, "Oh, this is quite a nice turn of phrase." There's a bit of a Smiths feel to some of the lyrics. Dirty Pretty Things was Carl Barrett's spin-off from the Libertines. This is the Landfill indie song. 22 grand job in the city, it's all right. 22 grand job in the city, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, like sort of punky rejection of something. Like, it doesn't matter what. And most people listening to that were probably thinking, 22 grand. That's all right, that. 22 grand a year, I'll take that. I think the thing being the cost of living in London, making people who live in London realise that it's not as simple. Like, geez. I think at this point, yeah, there's a lot of people who wish they had 22 grand job now. But yeah, interesting, very interesting. The Rakes, 22 grand job. That was everywhere. It was on every NME free CD. Arctic Monkeys, probably the one that you wouldn't listen. Like Mardy Bum is very much a Landfill indie one. Then they've done some that are a little bit more profound. There's some really good B-sides from around that album as well, which I just thought were incredibly well done. When he leans into the Cooper Clarke style songs and things like that, then yeah, pretty good. Hey Scenesters, I think that's what people were called who were into indie at the time. Cortinas, that still gets played a lot. I'm surprised how popular that is, the Cortina. You're not 19 forever, get yourself together. Yeah. It weren't my thing. That was maybe on my way out. I was sort of leaning out. The door was open for me to kind of stop listening to this kind of stuff and try other types of music. So not 19 Forever, probably the end of my Landfill indie knowledge, and the beginning of it might be 22 Grand Job. I quite liked Art Brut as well. I like any songs where people call out other artists, like Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson, you're all fakes, run to you, the New Radicals and things like that. And Art Brut used to do a little bit of that as well. Bit embarrassing, some of the stuff now. Larrikin Love, don't remember. Do you remember this? Do you remember Not 19 Forever? Loading. Oh, didn't realize it had a. Is that the kid from The Inbetweeners? No. Razorlight, yeah. I think their second album is really, really good, and the latest one's really good. Baby Shambles, Chelsea Dagger. Yeah, talked about that one, football one. Recommended based on this. So we're going to get a lot of other kind of album tracks from the same bands. Yeah, we are. Futureheads. Yeah, give them a shot. So, okay, where are we? So we've gone through a few there. We've done 50. Kind of give you my thoughts on them. There's quite a lot of good ones there. I think it's hard sometimes. You just sweep everyone out with the same brush, and there's some good stuff in there. Maybe I'll go back and listen to these, because it's probably been about 5 to 10 years since I listened to any of these. Okay, so I put together a little bit of a list of ones to talk about. I'll leave out the ones that we've already talked about, so like Chelsea Dagger and things like that. Let's see. She's so lovely. Yeah, no. Scouting for Girls, terrible. Apply Some Pressure, that was okay. Franz Ferdinand was one. Indie Club Night, Franz Ferdinand. I remember going into Manchester. I've got a really embarrassing story about Franz Ferdinand. I remember going into Manchester. It was around the time when I was at university, and we went in on the train, and we were all dancing to that song, Take Me. I'd say dancing. I'm not really. Please don't be under any illusions. And I was smoothing my head to this song, and this bit goes dun 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 dun. Yeah, it goes boom, and I went like that, and I nutted this girl like really hard. She was drunk, and she was like, "It's fine." Ha, ha, ha. I felt terrible. You just feel mortified. accidentally headbutting somebody in the back of her head. Oh my word, it's embarrassing. That's all you need to know. Bloc Party, a band that I really liked. I went to see Bloc Party quite a lot. And again, it helps you sometimes when you listen to a band like this and you find their influences. So like Bloc Party is essentially television, just with a slightly different voice. Pretty much the same chords, the same progression, the same set. Everything is the same, just a different singer. But like Bloc Party were good. Like that first album's really, really good. There's still some good stuff on there. Son of Kelly's solo stuff is really good as well. So yeah, Bloc Party stand up. Libertines, Don't Look Back Into. So first album, Libertines, man, they were good. They definitely kicked it on a lot. Some people would say like defining band of that time. It's one album and then a lot of newspaper headlines. Editors, Munich. I mentioned that one on before. The Subways were one that were kind of pushed. I think they were like if I remember correctly, one that was definitely more of a commercial push there. Fratellis, I remember liking the Fratellis. I've said those though. Libertines up the bracket. That's What a Waster. Who else have we got? Smokers Outside the Hospital Doors by Editors. That's a really good song. I'm just kind of listing songs here, but I just don't want to miss anybody out. And I don't think I have. I think these would be your most, clear Landfill indie. The Prayer, what a great song by Bloc Party. Yeah, check that one out. Hoosiers, I remember those guys. They were a bit like Scouting for Girls. Like I was just like, So yeah, so there's definitely the good, the forgettable, and the absolute Landfill there. And that's just my opinion. So if I've just talked about one of your favorite bands and you're like, no, Matt, you're wrong. You need to listen to track 3 on their 4th album when you start listening. Then I'll go and listen to it. Let me know. It'd be really interesting to hear. It's interesting. Although all these people probably nearing their 40s now, if they were a bit younger than me at the time, or possibly over 40s. And maybe this is going to be a big retro scene now. Maybe you've just recently been to watch a reunited Rifles or Kooks or Scouting for Girls or something, if they turn up in your town, you probably go. I mean, if you're like me and live out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes bands turn up because like people go, oh, I recognise that. I'm like, in the middle of Cumbria, in the middle of nowhere, East 17 like were playing in some working man's club, and then the other side of that was there was I think Scouting for Girls opened a festival down the way. There's actually, really weirdly, there's a big outdoor festival being ran with a lot of really up-to-date modern comedians and singers on there who I really like, which I was a bit shocked about. People who I like who are around now. Carl Mooney's album's hilarious. But no, let's see. Richard Dawson, he's really, really good, unusual. Very, very different to anything we've discussed here. Do you know what? I don't mind. Last year, I listened to a lot of, what's it called? The Great American Bar Scene. Who sings that? Which country guy sings that? The Great American Bar Scene. What was it called? He's got a bit of Ryan Adams going on. Zach Bryan. He's got a bit of Ryan Adams going on. He's got a bit of Springsteen going on there. Springsteen's on the album. So yeah, I'll listen to a bit of anything. And like I say, Sam Fender was kind of almost. He is probably. You can make an argument for Arctic Monkeys more successful and better songs than 99.9% of the people that I was listening to at his time. So God bless him, he's doing really well. So yeah, those are ones. Then obviously this kind of led into, for a lot of people, the emo scene, Fall Out Boy and all that kind of thing. And I really liked a lot of those bands too. So maybe if you want me to do an album on kind of the best, or picking different things out of the emo scene, I'll definitely do that, because there was some good, bad, and absolutely awful. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this actually. It's a trip down memory lane. It's almost like a bit of a confessional for me as well, because you're admitting you like things when it's very clear that lots of people don't. You can either be really obtuse and do it deliberately, or you can just pretend that it never happened. But we all go through these phases. We all, change our clothes and our haircuts as we grow and find our little groups. And now it gets pushed at you. Like, I'm finding now that as a 40-odd-year-old bloke, if I wasn't mindful of everything that I was taking in and just kind of skeptical, they seem to be pushing these same 5 comedians at me, all bald-headed, bearded American guys who are wanging on about cancel culture. I've either got those being thrown at me, Oasis reunion stuff being thrown at me. It's like, or really sort of red-faced British banging on about being British stuff being thrown at me all the time. And I guess if I didn't just put not interested and try and break that algorithm spinning and throwing those things at me, I just wonder if some of that stuff just gets thrown at me because of my age, and when you sign in for things, they know how old you are and they think this is what you're going to like, or whether you just read what you look at one thing, because I'm not afraid of looking at somebody with different ideas and then going, well, that's not for me, or okay, I get why you feel that way, I just don't happen to agree with it, or whatever. Maybe you watch one and then it kind of forks off and there's 3 more, but I just wish they'd fork off, if I'm honest, and just let you. It's harder for you to find your own stuff now, and or find a range of things, than it is, because once you do one thing, it's like, here's 10 more that are just the same but slightly different. So yeah, I really do try. I make a lot of playlists on Spotify and then never listen to them, but I think I do that just to kind of focus myself on the fact that there's such a range of different stuff. So like, for instance, if I hear say a Bryan Adams song, I'll then go, oh man, that's like Summer of '69 or Run to You or I'm Ready. Like, they're good songs. Like, it's Bryan Adams and it's not cool, but they're good songs. And then I'll sort of skip on and look at I must have done about 50, 60 playlists on here. I'll just hear a song by somebody and I'll go, right, I'll do that. Or like the best Eurovision songs, or the best songs that sound a bit like Michael Jackson, or the best faces and Rod Stewart, best Biffy Clyro, or best objectively. So I've done a playlist called Best Landfill Indie that's objectively good. So what did I put in there? Let's have a look. Mostly Bloc Party, Banquet, Helicopter, The Prayer, Flux, Like Eating Glass. And then I've got Hounds of Love, Futureheads, Decent Days and Nights, Munich, Editors, Smokers Outside the Hospital Doors, Editors, Lights, Editors, Suburban Nights, Hard Five. Would they count as Landfill Indie? Got a few Razorlight in there. In the Crossfire, Star Sailor, Caught by the River by Doves. The Delays were a good fun band as well. If you've ever, I think the lead singer's passed away. Long Time Coming, Nearer Than Heaven. High voice, a little bit something different, not just kind of, wanging on and trying to sound like a football fan. I don't know. Living for the Weekend. And then I've got Chelsea Dagger in there. Oh, strong choice, Matthew. Snow Patrol were around this time. Would they count as Landfill Indie as well? I don't know. They're possibly a bit more popular, a bit bigger, but I'm watching Snow Patrol as well. They were pretty good. I think I watched the Snow Patrol and Bloc Party together, or maybe Hard Fi. And some of these, it's really weird. You think, oh, I quite like this band. They're going to go places, and then they just completely disappear. Like Plan B. I did a video on Plan B recently, and that Defamation of Strickland Banks is still a really, really good album. It's like 10 years old. I don't realize. I listen to a lot of Paul McCartney solo stuff, and again, like a lot of people are just like, oh, Wings are crap, and it's good stuff for the Beatles. I actually prefer a lot of Paul McCartney's solo stuff over the Beatles. I really do. Without going to Alan Partridge, I've got a playlist of like the best fake boy bands from films, which is a quite funny one. Like De Jour, if you ever saw Josie and the Pussycats, or Together, or things from Bob's Burgers, or The Lonely Island. So yeah, there's a few things I'll put in there. Like pop wise, Robin was really good. I used to really like Bon Iver, The Replacements. I listened to heavy stuff. Like all the stuff I was taken to as a kid was like Judas Priest and Motley Crue and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I just think just give stuff a go. Listen to one or two and try and change your algorithm. Just if you get a video sent to you and you just think, why does it keep sending me that? Just put not interested on it and move on to another one, even if that video is one of mine. If you want something different. So yeah, it's good to have that kind of. I'm not like, I've got such eclectic taste, can't pin me down. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, don't limit yourself. This is my advice for what it's worth. You don't limit yourself. Just be like, yeah, I've listened to some of those. Like, I've been listening to a lot of the Misfits recently. Even though I've been a bit dismissive of Arctic Monkeys, might go back and listen to like Despair in the Departure Lounge. I think like B-sides are amazing. Do You Want to Know? 505. Some of those could have Crying Lightning. Some of those Are You Mine? They could have been like Bond themes. They were epic. Yeah, there's just so many. There's just so many. Band from my hometown that are kind of more modern indie. Probably the only ones that seem to do really, really well are the Blossoms, and they've done some pretty good songs as well. I think Tom's got a real good turn of phrase that may be a bit like a Pete Doherty kind of feel to it, where he's got that understanding of making something unique. But yeah, what do I know? My favorite artist of all time, if anyone's interested, is Jeff Buckley. I absolutely love Jeff Buckley. I'm interested in the documentary they're making about him. But I'm also willing to listen to anything that you suggest. So if you've got a band that you really, really like and you want me to listen to it for some reason, then I will. Put it in the comments and let me know. This has been really fun. It's like almost music does take you back to a certain time. I find it really strange when people go, "Oh, I don't listen to music. I don't like music." That's fine. That's totally fine. But only music can kind of give you that deep twist in the gut that takes you to somewhere. And sometimes you can't listen to a certain thing because it would just upset you too much. I mean, how powerful is that? Or it makes you feel like you're 10 foot tall. There was a song I was listening to when I left one of my jobs for the last time, and I turned it up and I had the window down and I was driving home and I was like, I'm free. And it was such a nice feeling. I was just like, if that music wasn't there to soundtrack it, every time I hear that music, I think of feeling free. It's a nice moment. It's just a lovely. I just don't want to limit myself by missing out on anything. So like, if it's it reminds me of people, oh, it's too young for you or too old for you or whatever. It's like, just if you really, really like all this quote unquote landfill indie, and that's your jam, there's enough to be going on with there. So yeah, fair play to you. Enjoy it. I don't know. This ended up being a general talk about music and personal taste and preference. And if you want me to do another video on another genre or another type of forgotten music history, then I will. It depends if people watch it. So if people watch it and share it or like it or comment on it or go in the chat, then I tend to do more of them if I feel that people haven't really connected with it. And to be honest, sometimes it just takes one person to write a really detailed thing. Like my one about Odeon Cinemas, somebody wrote a really, really great comment on there recently. And I was just like, wow, they really took time and thought and effort to kind of give me their feelings on cinema. And I answered them. And honestly, I'm not like, never try and answer people who are going, you're wrong or whatever. I'm just trying to go, oh, well, have you thought about this? And it's nice when people come at a subject in that way, like, I'm going to tell you a little bit of information that you might not know, or this is what I think, but without telling you that your thing is completely wrong. Because it's often that we're not wrong or right. It's just a completely different look at it. And if we are in that kind of sphere of we only have things thrown at us that agree with us, it's really shocking when somebody doesn't. I don't mind disagreeing with people as long as we do it politely, or not even politely, just respectfully, which I suppose is similar to more polite's more mannered, isn't it? But respectfully is like kind of thinking about that other person and how they might feel if you attack them. So like or laughing at someone or making them feel less than. Like I'm not interested in that, but I am interested in kind of people with different opinions about different things, whether it's music or anything at all. It's important to be able to listen to those things without instantly waiting to say your thing. To try and close your mouth and listen to what people say or read what somebody says, and not instantly just go, oh, you're an absolute idiot for thinking that. Well, they're not. They have a reason for it, and we just need to kind of unpick what it is, and I might find out something new. Okay. I don't know where that all went. Just went off on a tangent. I think it's because I've been thinking a little bit about stand-up comedy recently and why I had this disconnect from a lot of the modern comedians and stand-up specials and things like that. And I was going to do a video about it, but I just couldn't quite put together the ideas in my head. It was more to do with like that idea of like, oh, I would say this, but I'm going to get cancelled, and then say something and then deliberately kind of, oh, I'm always getting like just complain, like comedy that's just complaining about being cancelled, but you're on like a platform to 20 million people and you're selling out stadiums and you're complaining about being cancelled. And it's just like, oh my God, it's just so boring. It's just so boring. It's just like Andy Warhol said, like, art is getting away with it. So you just have to find a way. I really don't think there is such a thing as like being like, there's accountability. Like if you assaulted somebody, then there should be some sort of accountability for that. But if art is getting away with it. It's like you can challenge and you can do weird stuff and say stuff that people might not agree with, but if you do it artfully enough and clever enough and funny enough, then you get away with it. You do, if you're good enough. And it's just, art is a good way of finding people out. It's a bit like saying some of these things stay around and some of them disappear, and that's how it works. That's certainly not that everything that's popular is good. Some things don't get found, but I think it's that kind of a very interesting debate to be had about that, and it's not really to be about music as such, but I guess there are lots of people in music. It's like, say for instance, one of my favorite artists of all time is Ryan Adams. I do find it really hard to separate the fact that he just seems like an absolute idiot, and time again, compared to what I really loved his music, and it's very from the heart, and it connects with me, and it's really well written and performed. But then, I don't know, it's hard sometimes. It's difficult, but yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I don't really want to get into another topic while we're talking about music, but I think the key thing just seems to be like, it's okay to like what you like. You know, if you like it, great. But maybe it's harder now to seek out different things because you're kind of kept in your box a little bit. And there's also so much of it that you end up retreating back into the things that you've already, there's so much of it that you end up retreating back to the familiar because it's a little bit scary that there's so much stuff. And I find that with television, there's so much, you know, like I was always a massive Star Wars fan as a kid. I just can't keep up with all the content of it. It's not that I think it's good or bad or indifferent. It's just too much. And maybe that sometimes means that the quality scale's all over the place as well. When you finally give something a go and seek it out and it's good, it's always a big surprise. At Marvel, the same, you know, like you remember when it was really hard to get hold of a comic book in the UK? You had to get them shipped over and pay extra, and oh man. Anyway, Landfill Indie, what was your favorite band? What did you enjoy? Do you even, like, if you're in America, did it even make a dent over there? If you're in Canada or India or I don't know, Russia, Pakistan, Ukraine, France, did Landfill Indie even make a dent? Probably not. Once again, overstating the importance of British music. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time listening to me ramble on. I always do, meeting so many cool people online at the moment, in the comments, in the chats. And what should I listen to next? I want to listen to your favorite band, so tell me. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Landfill Indie Debate starts here.